All right, everyone. Well, it is no longer a leak. It is now 100% confirmed that the upcoming banner is going to be the All 7 Festival pickup draw. And I think there's a lot of people very unhappy about this, obviously for justified reasons. It's not Escanor. There was an insane amount of hype this week. Everyone was thinking that it was going to be Escanor, but instead we have this. So already right off the bat, this banner is never going to live up to the expectations that people had because it's not Escanor. But it's actually even worse than you think. I know that sounds crazy, but I want to draw some attention to some really tricky things about this banner that just straight up make it not good. So, of course, the answer to the question of the title, the best banner or the worst banner, it's definitely not the best banner, so that can only really leave one option there. So, at first glance, this banner might actually appear good, because if you take a look, you will see that the chance to get SSR heroes is increased from 3% to 7%. Now, this is what I like to call the whale bait, or even honestly the noob bait, because there's going to be a lot of newer players and people who aren't really familiar with certain mechanics that see this and they're like, wow, that's more than double the chances to get an SSR. That's crazy. This has to be a great banner. I'm going to spend all my gems and summon. Well, this is actually very tricky in multiple ways. Now, first of all, the obvious one, and this is the obvious one, is if you take a look at the actual heroes for this banner, well, underwhelming is I guess an understatement. I mean, there's a couple of good units here. You've got Green King, I guess Green Meliodas as well, but a lot of people probably have him anyway. They rerolled for him. I mean, there's some okay units, but like there's nothing really here that stands out to the point where you're like, man, I got to summon for this unit. You can get all of these later on. You don't really have to spend your gems going for these guys right here. And I like how they also point out the actual units that people really want in the game. Oh yeah, these are not included in nice red letters here, just to let you all know. But that's not the only reason why this banner is actually bad. It's not just the actual units that you can get, but it's also something very important, which is also in red letters here, and I'll talk about this for a second. There is no draw bonus gauge for this particular draw. Now, that's a pretty big deal right there, and it actually changes the math and the numbers to make this so-called increase from a 3% to a 7% rate not quite as good as you might think it is. Now, it's still an increase, of course, but it's not as crazy as that more than double chance that you might have originally thought when you took a look at this. And that's why I like to say it's also the whale bait and the noob bait, because they aren't going to really understand how much of an influence that pity gauge can have, and they're just going to see this 3% to 7% and not understand what this all means and think that it's way better than it actually is. Now, the pity is actually pretty big in the regular banners. So if you break it down, you have a 3% chance to get an SSR, which means most of the time you are not going to get an SSR. Now, you do pull 11 units at once. It's not a 33% chance because you have to do the crazy math. If you crunch the numbers, it's actually closer, like a 28% chance of actually pulling one SSR or more. That's the important part. So you're looking at like a little more than a quarter of the time of not activating the pity, but then 3/4 of the time when you do summon on that regular 3% SSR rate with actual good banners that have units that people are looking for, you're going to get 20% of that pity gauge, which is actually pretty meaningful because that is 1/5 of an SSR right there, which makes a really, really big difference, and it makes this 3% chance go up. Like if you crunch all the numbers, I'm not going to get into the crazy math here. I was thinking about it for a while, but whenever I do that, it always just ends up being very confusing, and I think a lot of people think it's not helpful rather than the intended effect, which is for me to make it more helpful. So I'm not going to get too much into it, but it makes the regular banners have a more, I guess you could call it like an effective SSR rate of closer to 5% rather than 3%. So like I said, it is still an increase, but now that 3% to 7%, it's more like 5-ish% to 7%. And when you take a look at the actual units that are involved in this banner, you know, a little bit of an extra chance to summon units that most people are not really going to be looking for, and spending your gems on something that doesn't have, like, you know, a really desirable unit like Escanor it's bad. It's really bad, and I would easily say the biggest bait banner that has been in the game so far, and honestly probably the worst banner. So definitely do not be fooled. Now, there's some other stuff that is going on as well, of course. Let's get into this really quickly here to just kind of cap things off. So this is the update notice. The player rank is increasing to 70, which is good news because that means that everyone's going to get more efficiency for their stamina potions. And of course, you're going to get all those stamina refills and all those achievement rewards by leveling up, which is really nice. A couple of events as well here, the power up and power up spin events. So let's take a look at this right here. Just some additional rewards, additional goodies. I believe this is from Fort Sologres. It is. So you get tickets, and it looks like these rewards here, you can reset this, by the way. So it's not like you can only get these once. I believe it says you can acquire a maximum of 30 tickets a day. You can reset the roulette for a total of 6 times during the event period. So take these rewards here, and you can kind of multiply them by 5 to get a little bit of a better look at what you might be able to get out of this. So that's pretty cool. More rewards are always nice. Here's the actual pickup banner, which we actually looked at. The rank 5 bundle and the anvil bundle. So we got some stuff to look forward to when it comes to whaling, and of course the stuff that's actually ending. So, and if you actually take a look at the event screen, you can look at all the stuff in a little bit more detail. Now I did notice that there is the story event that is coming as well, posted at the same time as everything. I don't know if they actually mentioned it in the update notice, but you can see some extra ascension rewards and whatnot. And then we've got just kind of everything else that we went over. Oh, the one thing that I wanted to mention at this point, probably one of the most important things of all, is there is a salvage event that is coming, and it's going to be a week-long event. Let me see if I can find it here. This is a really, really big one here. So we've got the week 4 event schedule, and if you take a look and see, we've got the boss stages going on, then the free stages, and then the Fort Sologris. You should pretty much be optimizing your farming whenever this stuff is going on. And then in the week off where we don't have the half events, that's kind of when you can, do some other stuff and not go too crazy on the farming. But 421 through 428 got the hero enhancement event, which came out when the game was new. So this is coming back. Unfortunately for me, I just leveled up a bunch of units, so unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then the equipment salvage up event, so you're going to have an increased chance for those super and ultra successes from salvaging, and those super and ultra successes are what's going to give you your awakening stone. So this is the time to save up and farm that SSR gear to get those really valuable awakening items. Definitely an event that's worth considering, so don't go too crazy salvaging all your stuff right now. Keep saving up, and definitely make sure that you are enhancing your SSR before you salvage it as well to give you an even higher chance of those super and ultra successes. But anyway, that's pretty much everything. I really mostly wanted to talk about this banner here because it's super bait. I mean, it really takes bait to a whole new level, and that's saying a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and are able to save up for another week. More gems and more of a chance for Escanor when he does come out. So if you guys enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Feel free to toss a quick like, and more Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out, but if not, until next time, this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.